Howdy folks, hope you're all having a good one, and welcome back to World of Warships with Rear Admiral Jingles. Today we're featuring one of my favourite ships. This is Bane in the German Tier 7 battleship, the Scharnhorst. Gonna lay my cards on the table right at the start, however. When this ship first came out, I hated it. I thought it was terrible, but that's because I was stupid and I didn't understand how the game worked. The moment that crystallised the whole I hate the Scharnhorst thing for me was in the very first battle I was playing in this thing. And this thing at the time was billed as a cruiser killer. And I unloaded these 9 283mm guns at a Cleveland, which at the time was a Tier 6 cruiser. Cleveland was kiting away from me at an angle. I aimed up with armour-piercing shells loaded and all 9 of these 283mm guns at the Cleveland's waterline, pulled the trigger. I think 7 of the 9 shots hit. The accuracy is still pretty good. Every single one of them ricocheted. I thought, oh, this ship's terrible. Well, no. The Cleveland has a 100mm thick armour belt. At a flat 90-degree angle, yeah, sure. Scharnhorst guns will rip through that like a hot knife through butter, but angled at 45 degrees? Even the Yamato's 18-inch guns would bounce at that kind of angle, against that kind of armour thickness. I just didn't understand how the game worked. But as time went by and I began to understand more about ricochet angles and overmatch mechanics, I started to get a much better appreciation of just how good a ship the Scharnhorst, or as those who know like to call it, the shiny horse, just how good this ship actually is. It's fast, it's got sufficient bow and stern plating to be able to ricochet 14-inch arm-piercing shells if sufficiently well angled. It has great secondaries by the standards of Tier 7 battleships. It has torpedoes. And the guns, well, you're not going to overmatch much with the guns. 283mm is small caliber by battleship standards. You're not sailing around in something like the Warspite here, which mounts guns that are big enough to be able to overmatch anything within its own tier spread. Scharnhorst's guns can overmatch up to 19mm of armour, which when you're fighting between tiers 5 and 9, doesn't leave you a huge amount of options. Although the Omaha over there is definitely one of them. It's just unfortunate that Bane actually has high explosive ammunition loaded right now. Oh well, whatever, that's what's loaded. We'll take the shot. The Omaha is so badly armoured it's actually possible to score high explosive citadels on that thing. Although that's not happening today. Just the one hit. Kind of disappointing. Bane switching to the armour piercing. Scharnhorst only has a 20-second reload, by the way, to compensate for the relatively low calibre of the guns. And it can overmatch and Citadel and Omaha, although again, not today, from absolutely any angle. The Omaha is just hilariously badly armoured, even by the standards of other light cruisers. Bane now has to make a decision, and it clearly hurts him to make this decision, but he does make the right decision. Despite having the armour-piercing reloaded and the Omaha just sitting there waiting to be deleted, he does in fact aim at the Fubuki, because the Fubuki is a way more dangerous target than an Omaha. So good job there, Bane. The Omaha is of course now in range of his secondaries, but with a 20-second reload, he really doesn't have to wait long before he gets the opportunity to finally erase the Omaha from existence. And there it is. Now, you might be sitting there thinking to yourself, what exactly was the Omaha's game plan there? Because it really is the poster child for light cruisers that just explode as soon as anybody looks at them. What was the deal with his suicide rush? Well, you notice he got his torpedoes away. Well, apparently the Dallas there didn't notice that he got his torpedoes away. How he didn't notice is anybody's guess, because I'm fairly sure the only reason we saw those Omaha torpedoes from as far away as we did is because the Dallas was running hydro. And yet, yeah, I know. Well, anyway, enemy Gajimada finishes the Dallas off, because why wouldn't you shoot at a light cruiser on less than 1,000 hit points, as Bane unloads at a low-health Gorizia and gets his team's second kill. So the kills are even. Both teams have lost 2 cruisers, although the enemy team do have the advantage of being in possession of 2 of the cap points. Although the destroyer, the Podboyski over there, who's flipping the 3rd cap point for the enemy team, has been spotted and probably isn't going to be surviving for too much longer. He's got a Farragut unloading on him. He's got a T-22 unloading on him. I think even the Minakaze was shooting at him. Yeah, he's done. It's only a matter of time the Farragut gets him. So the team have a fairly good chance, given that it looks like the only thing the enemy team have over there is a An extremely brave Derflinger. So it looks like the team are probably not going to have too many problems taking the cap at Alpha. Somebody's just going to have to man up, take their brave pills and get in there. So Bane shifts his attention to more serious threats, and it's at moments like this when I really sometimes just don't understand how this game works. 760 damage on a Fubuki with 2 penetrations. Yeah, what's this? 760 damage on a Fubuki with 1 over penetration. Now the overpen was correct, because an over penetration is 10%, and these armor piercing shells can do 7,600 damage, so 760 is correct for an overpen, so the overpen was fine. I am, however, at a complete loss to explain why the 2 penetrations only did 380 each, because Bane was robbed. That should be a dead Fubuki. He was extremely unlucky to get a ricochet on the Fubuki as well, because there's literally only one part on a Fubuki where you can get a ricochet with 283mm guns, and that's hitting any of its gun turrets at an extreme angle. Nowhere else on that ship does it have more than 16mm of armour, and these guns can overmatch 19. It's just that the turrets are 20. Either way, that Fubuki should be dead. Meanwhile, the team do have 2 destroyers attempting to flip the cap at Alpha, but the enemy team have somebody sneaking around in the cap at Bravo. Yep, there it is, Gajimada. I think spotted by the Akatsuki. He'd probably want to get himself unspotted real soon, because there's no way an Akatsuki is winning a gunfight against a Gajimada. Although the Gajimada isn't exactly in a good spot, because he's inside secondary range of a Scharnhorst. But if you're inside secondary range of a Scharnhorst, that means the Scharnhorst is inside torpedo range of... yeah, there they are! Obvious torpedoes are, in fact, extremely obvious. The Gajimada is in an extremely tough spot. But then again, so is Bane, because he doesn't just have to worry about the Gajimada over there. There's a Fubuki inside that extremely suspicious looking smoke screen right in front of him. And that's not all. He also has 3 enemy battleships in shooting range. He needs to finish off the Gajimada before it reloads its torpedoes, and keep his bows pointed towards any torpedoes coming from the Fubuki, and any large caliber armor piercing shells coming from those enemy battleships. He's got the Gajimada. There's a close quarters expert award. So, Fubuki off the port beam. That's bad news. But there is an island over there he can use to get between himself and the Fubuki's smokescreen, and therefore the Fubuki's torpedoes, and hopefully also shield him from any shots from the Caracciolo and the King George V over there. If you turn to port, you're fighting 4 enemy ships at the same time. If you turn to starboard, you can potentially put yourself into a position where you only have to fight one of them, the Congo, at the same time. Shots out at the Congo, who is actually angling reasonably well, so no citadels, although the secondaries do set a fire, so that's going to help. The issue here, is that could have been a lot worse, because in order to get into cover behind this island, he is exposing broadside to the Caracciolo and the King George V. And while the Scharnhorst does have a turtleback armour scheme, which means that at close ranges, by battleship standards like this, it's extremely unlikely that they're going to be able to citadel him. Why take the chance? And I'm fairly confident that the fact that he is now also in range of, the Nagato over there's 16-inch guns, was probably a contributory factor in his decision to turn even further to starboard and open up the angle a little. Still, even if the Nagato hasn't noticed him, he is still fighting 4 enemy ships at once, although judging by the torpedo that just sailed past harmlessly, the island over there is doing a pretty damn good job of torpedo defense against the Fubuki. It looks like it probably ate at least 3 torpedoes there, which means the Fubuki's going to have to come out and potentially get spotted if he wants to try to torpedo him again. He's bought himself a little bit of breathing space here, because at this precise moment he's only having to fight the Congo directly, but that situation is about to change as the Caracciolo comes steaming around the corner. Big hits on the Congo there, but again no citadels, and it looks like the Congo's just spotted and is about to dodge those torpedoes. And if the Congo sees them, that means the Caracciolo sees them too. Oh, he's actually got the Congo with one of the torpedoes, just clipped the stern. Caracciolo is safe, however. I don't know whether that was through luck or judgment. Probably judgment. He has turned nose in to angle against Bane's guns and also dodge those torpedoes. Despite, however, my taking pains to explain exactly how Bane took what was potentially a 4 versus 1 fight and turned them into a whole series of 1-on-1 fights, this is not actually a 1-on-1 fight. And I'm not talking about whether or not the Nagato to the northeast is, in fact, taking an interest in Bane's well-being. Bane hasn't actually been asking for help by himself, but he is getting it, mostly thanks to the cheerleading coming from the friendly T-22. Who's been coordinating team support for Bane here ever since he realised just exactly what a tight spot he was in. As well as an armour-piercing salvo from the friendly Caracciolo to the northwest that reduced the enemy Caracciolo to low enough hit points that Bane was able to finish him off and claim his 5th kill. Yes, that was the Kraken unleashed. Also, the friendly Akatsuki, who would have been dead if not for Bane taking out that Gajimada, attempted to assist. It was 100% ineffectual, but that island between him and the Caracciolo got a damn good torpedoing. Yeah, it knows what it did. All of this support organised by Bane's own personal cheerleader, the T-22, down to the south, just off to the left of the screen there, flipping that cap as Bane joins him here, flipping the cap at Charlie, with some beautiful shots lined up on the Nagato over there. Honestly, really couldn't be better. Again, denied the Citadels. Oh, what are you going to do? But there's the Confederate Award. The team have now finished flipping their 3rd cap at Charlie. The enemy team are trailing by 3 kills, 2 cap circles, and 200 points. Enemy Nagato and the Derflinger over there in an incredibly tough spot. They've got an enemy destroyer in 3 different directions, and they're caught in a crossfire between 2 battleships, the Rio de Janeiro to the north, and Bane here in the Scharnhorst. Although the enemy team are biting back. The enemy Minakaze just sank the friendly Maya all the way up on the northern map border. No sign of the Fubuki, who was in a prime position to actually sink Bane. He didn't actually do anything from the cover of his smokescreen other than launch some torpedoes into an island that never did anything bad to him and then run away behind the cover of another island all the way up there. You can see his last reported position on the minimap, right up on the eastern map border. Poor old Derflinger here being forced to turn nose in towards where he estimates the torpedo threat is coming from. And he's right, there are torpedoes coming in from the Minakaze, but it's the torpedoes from the T-22, if not the 283mm armour-piercing shells from Bane straight into his flat armour belt. No, it's the torpedoes from the T-22 who finish him off. That just leaves the Nagato all the way down here, completely run out of friends. Looks like he's turning to get all of his guns shooting at the Rio de Janeiro up to the north, which might be great news for the Rio de Janeiro, although it is going to mean that Bane is going to struggle. He might actually have to start switching to high explosive. Oh no, wait, he is turning out. Looks like he's waiting for the Rio de Janeiro to return fire and is angling against him. Which is, yeah, that's not bad. That was the rear turret only. Yeah, that was like 10,000 damage between all 3 turrets. Somebody else probably going to claim the kill here, of course. Although maybe not. Remember, 20-second reload. That rear turret, it's been 20 seconds. Shots out. Kill number 6. Oh, he was robbed. Front turrets have reloaded. Shots out. Come on, kill number 6. Yeah, boy, there it is. To think he was worried about the Nagato earlier. I mean, he was right to be worried about the Nagato. But, yeah, needn't have bothered. And that just leaves 3 enemies. 2 of which, of course, are destroyers. Now, we know that the Fubuki, because it should have been dead, seriously wargaming. 760 damage from 2 penetrations. Have a word with yourself. It's unlikely to want to risk getting spotted. Oh, by the way, I've just been reminded, because Bane just mentioned it in chat, and he did actually say in the email that accompanied this replay, Bane's been taking quite an extended break from World of Warships. In fact, this is the first time he has even touched the game in a year. And he's a big fan of the Scharnhorst, as am I. It's a great ship. And so this was the ship that he picked to ease himself back into World of Warships after an extended break of a year. But as his cheerleader teammate, the T-22, pointed out in chat, yeah, congratulations, well done, great game, now forget it because things can only possibly get worse from here. And as if by magic, there it is. I should have been killed number 7 on the King George V. And again, it's an overpen for 760 damage. And of course, the King George V picks that moment to pop its heal. King George V gets a very, very good heal. It's already back up to 10,000 hit points. And what should have been a kill, Bane is getting robbed. Honestly, he should have had the kill on the Fubuki. That should have been a kill on the King George V. He should have been on 8 kills in this match. Oh, there is a potential, though. He might still get it. Hang on a second. Those are very suspicious-looking torpedoes on the friendly Caracciolo. I'm fairly sure the King George V didn't launch those. The game did it again! The final hit on the King George V was an overpen for 760 damage that left it on 325 hit points, allowing the Rio de Janeiro's fires to finish it off. I mean, good job, Rio de Janeiro, but honestly, I mean, this is a good match. 6 kills in the first battle that he's played in World of Warships in almost a year, but it should have been 8. Bane, you were robbed. There's no way this is going to be a defeat, though. The team are up to 954 points. They have... Actually, wait, no, they don't have... Looks like the Fubuki has flipped the cap at Delta, but still, with 2 cap circles and the Caracciolo flipping Bravo, there's no way they're going to lose this. There's probably 30 seconds of this game left. Looks like the T-22's heading for Delta, although I suspect the battle is probably going to be over before the T-22 gets there. Hello, hello, Bane is spotted. You know what that means, don't you? That means a smart battleship captain is going to start adjusting their course and speed because there are going to be torpedoes on the way. Spot a plane up, see if anybody reveals their position by shooting at it. Yep, there are the torpedoes. And there's the Fubuki. 740 hit points. And yet, if either of those penetrations had actually done penetration damage, the Fubuki would be dead. Hell, if either of those penetrations had even done as little as over-penetration damage, the Fubuki would be dead. And Bane would have been looking at 7 kills, even though it really should have been 8, in his first World of Warships battle in almost a year. 2,500 base experience and 6 kills for Bane in the Shiny Horse. Hope you all enjoyed it, and as always, take care, and I'll catch you next time.